Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Week in 7 Questions, today with Maria Snegovaya from the Atlantic Council. Maria, tell us what's happening in Russia. Are these protests the beginning of the end for Putin?
Thank you, Roland. Well, I wouldn't go that far. We've seen Russians protesting in the past, for example, back in 2011-12, and the regime survived. And this ongoing wave is unlikely to fundamentally challenge Putin's hold on power, since the size of the protest is still limited. And Putin, like most personalistic autocrats, wants to hold on to power whatever it takes. However, the new protest is different in that it has revealed a spreading countrywide fatigue and disappointment with Putin, particularly among the younger Russians, who are the country's future. And it's also unique by its size. Excluding Moscow, it's the largest regional protest in the last 30 years, possibly since the early 1990s.
And what is it that ordinary Russians mind most about Putin?
Putin is still popular among some, especially older groups. And overall, his popularity has not shrunk that much. He's still popular, and among about 40% of Russians would have voted for him as of late 2020. But his support at this point is one of the lowest at the lowest points of his 20-year rule. And there's also a sense of the spreading fatigue among Russians about his 20-year rule. Finally, Putin also used to be perceived as untouchable, a godlike figure, but that's no longer the case, partly thanks to the video about Putin's palace.
So, are Russians learning from Belarusians?
Yes, definitely. According to Levada's polls, about 90% of Russians have heard about the Belarus protests as of late 2020. The Russian opposition is learning from the Belarus example, learning the strategy of popular mobilization used by Belarus opposition. For example, a countrywide Telegram channel like the Belarusian Naxta is needed for coordination, according to some Russian opposition leaders. And Putin, unfortunately, is also learning from Lukashenko his coercive repression strategies, such as, for example, demonstrated by the brutal mass crackdown of February 2nd.
And what do you make of Alexei Navalny? Could he lead Russia one day?
Alexei Navalny is a historical figure, certainly. He is a man who's in extremely hostile conditions has proved resilience and determination to fight for Russia's democratic future. He de facto sacrificed himself by deciding to come back to Russia after an attempted murder, and knowing full well that he was likely going to be put in jail. And certainly, this example is absolutely inspiring, not just for Russians, but also for the rest of the world. Some people often claim that Navalny will be just another Putin-like figure, but Putin has never competed in a democratic election. He has never participated in public politics and refused to take part in presidential debates. He was de facto appointed into presidency by Yeltsin. Navalny, on the contrary, is de facto recreating politics in Russia's authoritarian setting from scratch.
Since you are now in Washington, how does the new president cope with Putin?
So far, Biden and his administration have basically made all of the correct statements confronting Putin on the mistreatment of Navalny. This is a good start. The question is, will there be actions beyond their words? What gives me personally hope is that several people in Biden's administration, including Andrea Kendall Taylor, Victoria Nuland, Peter Harrell, they all are fairly hawkish on Russia and understand the need for a more robust strategy of containment.
And what should Americans and Europeans do together in facing the Kremlin?
I think that first of all, Americans and Europeans should understand the almost existential threat coming from Putin, his regime spreading kleptocracy and anti-democratic tendencies beyond Russia's borders, and also attempts to polarize and divide democratic Western societies. To some extent, this effort is successful, for example, in the United States, as we have seen. And second, I think the US and Europe should collaborate on a robust strategy of containment of Russia, based not on just randomly, putting on individual sanctions lists various kleptocratic officials from the Kremlin, but also imposing sanctions that really bite and decrease Putin's budget revenues. I think that's where the effort should be focused.
Maria, when you look at Russia now, do you feel more like in a play by Chekhov or a novel by Dostoyevsky?
That's such an excellent question, Roland. I'm a huge Dostoevsky fan, and honestly, to me, today's Russia feels completely surreal, reaching the depths of Dostoevsky's tragedy when judging by the degree of the exposed human evil and also human good that unfolds before our eyes today. The cruelty and cowardice of some of the Kremlin's people who are poisoning political opponents, cracking down on innocent people, destroying their lives. This is certainly an evil ranging from Smerdikov to the Great Inquisitor. And Alexei Navalny, on the other hand, his self sacrifice for the sake of his own country is really approaching the highest manifestation of humanity, as, for example, demonstrated by Dostoevsky's Duke Mishkin in The Idiot or Alyosha in The Brothers Karamazov.
Большое спасибо, Maria Vladislavovna. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you again next week with another mystery guest in the Week in 7 Questions.